Hola.
Hola. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. Today we have with us a special guest. This is Joe. And you might be thinking, but Joe, that doesn't look like Joe. And that's why I said it's a special guest, Joe. It's a different version of Joe. But
Oh,
you'll
I
find
don't look like Joe?
he's different, very different kind of, it's like a
Oh,
different
okay.
model. Same,
Yeah.
uh-huh. It's same make, but different model.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So it's like
You just
Joe.
10 years newer model, that's
Yeah, exactly. Well, wait, how old are you?
28.
28. Well, only 1 year because Joe's 29.
Oh, 29.
Yeah.
Yep. The
It's
improved, the 1 year newer model. You
yeah,
have
the
to do
one
it.
year. Yep. Yeah, every year they come out with a new Joe. So it's probably true. Every year there's another Joe. Um of some at least stylistic wording. It's not always Joe, it could be Joseph or Josephine, I guess. That would be the other one.
Possibly, yes. For the
What about
the feminine version, usually.
yeah. I do people who are
Uh,
Possibly
Josephine go by
Johanna.
Joe? Or do they go by
yeah.
JoJo?
Yeah. I know a couple of very nice Joes who are Josephines. They're very nice.
Yeah.
They're usually a little bit older, but very nice ladies.
Okay. Good. Well, that's settled. Now we got to settle the rest of everything that's going on. Welcome to Don't Worry
Yes.
Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever issues or problems you are
Mm.
encountering throughout your life. You know, this world, there's a lot of problems, a lot of suffering that we want to go through, and we want to go through them, but it's not always easy. And so that's what we're here to help you at least make it a little easier. We aren't professional psychologists or psychiatrists or anything along those lines, but we can give you our best, our own examples of what we've gone through, and ultimately just be someone there to encourage you. Because a lot of times you guys know what to do, but a little bit of encouragement can go a long way, or a little bit of perspective or a different way of thinking about things. Sometimes you just need to talk about it to clear the air or have someone else relate to it, to make you feel a little bit more confident. So, and that's what we're here to do, to basically walk by your side as you go through the problem to the best of our ability in the short amount of time that we have. And yeah, help you through it. Because, again, this world is full of suffering, but it doesn't mean it's bad. And we can do great things with it if we have the right mindset. And so that's what we want to implore upon you today. And yeah, so with me again, as I said before, we've got Joe, who is a great member of BSS. He's been here with us a couple of years now, and he's amazing. He's wise, and he's great at math and golf. Right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
With
Now
that.
you're saying nice things about me. Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I enjoy both of those things,
And
which is
he's
part of
perfect.
being good at anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that last part.
Oh, okay. So he's perfect. Um,
Yeah, and shaking.
Shaking.
Perfect.
He's
at shaking. Oh my.
but he doesn't have what is that disease? Oh jeez. L- l-
On we go. On we go.
Anyways,
See you all.
the
Yeah,
shaking
welcome.
disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. He hasn't perfected that yet, but maybe he'll get there someday. Hope not.
Okay. Runs in the
Awesome.
family. Good.
We also have Princess, who is our chat room hostess, among other things, keeping us together and on point. And you guys know the
True.
drill. So how you guys doing today? Is everyone doing awesome? It's good to be here on a Wednesday with you guys.
Yeah.
It's
Rye
always
and Ryo. August. Easy. Cat in a box. Let's go. Good to see you
yeah,
with us.
yeah. It's really great. Some faces I haven't seen in a while, so it's really good to see you guys. But yeah, what do you say we get this started? I'm
We
gonna
should do that. Yes.
we're just gonna start with one from Vanderwood before we jump
Underwood.
into the live chat. We've got one that I'm guessing this is a person that's not attending the stream, right? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Do
No
that
right to
newscasting thing.
exchange.
Do that newscasting thing where like I'm pretending to listen, but really it's just visual cues. I'm pretty sure that that's the case in news as well. They're like they ask the
Hmm.
broadcaster something and they hold their hand to their ear and then they get the answer and it's not audible at all. It's just someone going. um, or mm-mm, no. Okay. Anyways, so we've got one from Vanderwood, and it is reactions to anger. Sorry, reactions to aggressive behavior. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen for you guys, so you can read as Princess reads. So whenever you're ready, Princess, go for it.
Since I was young, I had a strong reaction to aggressive behavior. I instinctively tried to run, hide, avoid, or this is the hardest one to control, I would freeze. After a long period of search and trials to understand why I'm like this, I believe my reactions come as a result of the verbal and physical discipline I was up against when I was little. I hope you understand what I'm referring to. As a girl, I had to be obedient, act a certain way, and have very good grades, otherwise, I would be punished. I've dug inside my brain and tried to solve this, tried talking to myself, tried to find solutions. I succeeded in not running away from aggressive behavior, but my problem is that I can't seem to face it yet. I freeze. My brain stops, and every time someone is aggressive to me directly, I can't counteract or even defend myself. I'm just staying there, taking in anything that's going on, silently, sometimes even nodding or agreeing, and it makes me sad. What should I do? I can understand that it's probably a coping mechanism that I've subconsciously developed, but I wish I was stronger and courageous enough to deflect aggressive and mean people and not let them influence my emotions. Much love from the other side of the world, Vanderwood.
Yeah, that's a great topic. Like, wow. I think there's a decent amount that we can talk about here, and I sympathize with you. I relate. I know that I I can still sometimes see myself in a very similar sort of mindset from time to time when people are very intensely aggressive. Um, you kind of just either fight, flight, or freeze, right? Those are the three kind of quick go-tos when you get scared. You fight, flight, or freeze, and freezing is a very normal response. But it's a good question to ask: is it the right response? Fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms happen when we sort of lose control of ourselves, right? When we're no longer, yeah, I'll just put it that in complete control, secure, right? When we're not fully with ourselves. So it's important to be able to have enough inner strength to go through those scenarios, all of them in life that can never happen, and sort of pull or push away those natural fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms so you can have a calm, collected, orderly, and meaningful reaction to whatever comes our way. And that is difficult. That is difficult to train and difficult to get yourself to do, especially in really intense scenarios where people are being aggressive and you're just like, it's easy to freak out. It's so easy to freak out. I would say there's nothing wrong with your behavior, but I really admire the fact that you want to improve the behavior, even though there's not necessarily anything wrong with it. I think that improving the behavior, adding onto it a bit of self-control or restraint or whatever it is that's necessary, is a wonderful and fantastic goal. And I hope we can do something to move you in that direction, with whatever we've gained in this realm for ourselves in our past. So I'm not gonna delay any longer. I'm gonna go ahead and give it over to Joe. Just wanted to say that I'm proud of you for asking this question. I think this is fantastic. So yeah, Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, this is it's not something that you're going to have an instant answer to. Like we just said at the top of the broadcast here, I've been alive for 28 years. I can't imagine that I even have this down. So if it feels like you're kind of in the middle of it, as Ryan talked about earlier on, in the middle of kind of that suffering stage, that's okay. It's good. Part of what we're here for is to help you not worry about the fact that you might be in the middle of something. And good on you. Good on you for recognizing that, okay, sometimes this isn't the right response, right? Like sometimes it might be. Sometimes you just gotta, you just have to kind of nod and accept some aggressive behavior. and sometimes that shouldn't be your response. And so, what I want to encourage you to do is understand what's going on behind the behavior. So, with aggressive behavior, you can come up against many types of people, right? It could be somebody you know, right? You might have a close family member or a friend who's fairly aggressive, because aggressive doesn't necessarily mean like they're coming after you. It just means that they might have a very effective, very emotional response to things. And so that's how they respond. It's not that they're trying to like come after you or attack you necessarily. And sometimes it is, but that we understand. Okay, is this just their natural response? And if it is, and it's someone you feel comfortable with, then responding in kind can be helpful. And I think that's what you're trying to get at. You're talking about freezing, and maybe you think there's a better action. And I might suggest to you that redirecting might not be the answer that you want, just because that was the avenue you decided to go down with your topic. Is maybe you don't want to redirect. Maybe you want to just push back, because again, if it's somebody who you trust and that's their emotional response, you just want to push back, not in a attacking or demeaning way, but if I start to yell at Ryan like, dang it, Ryan, why in the world is this not working, or something as such, that might just be my response. I might be saying like, oh shoot, Ryan, I've got to get like such and such a thing done, and I don't have this from you. That might be a very aggressive and emotional response. And if Ryan thinks I'm like attacking him, his response might not be appropriate. And I might want him to say, Joe, calm down. You need to chill. And that might be the appropriate response. Go ahead, Ryan.
What?
Oh, I thought you were saying something.
No, I was just laughing.
Okay.
Joe,
like he's
chill.
to tell me to chill right now.
Yeah. Joe, stop
I'm
immediately. Everything you're saying is so mean. No.
He's just like, got it. He's over here on the other screen, just like, no, you need to stop, man. I'm just not listening. But the aggressive response can actually help us to identify how our interactions are being taken, right? Like if you sit there calmly and kind of take it, then it sometimes can reinforce that, okay, my behavior is appropriate for this area. But in terms of where you would hopefully want to take this is just understand who you're talking to. Because what we have to do here is kind of assume who you're talking to, right? Because we don't know, is it somebody who's like walking down the street and screaming at you? In which case, maybe it's just time to leave. Like maybe you don't want to deal with that situation. That might be a dangerous situation. That's not what we're speaking to. I'm speaking to, you have a relationship with this person and you want to continue with that. And so understanding the other person, just getting into the root causes of that, is going to help you feel more comfortable in your response, right? Once you understand the right type of response, you can feel more comfortable doing it, right? Like if I face a situation, right? And let's say I have a fork in the road, and one of the two ways gets me somewhere. Actually, both of the two ways get me to my destination in the same time, but I don't know that. I'm just going to sit there and be like, oh, which one's quicker? It's going to take me a second to go, left or right, left or right, left or right. But if I know, okay, I need to get there in the next 2 hours, and if I go left, it's going to take me 3, and if I go right, it's going to take me 1. It doesn't take very long to make that decision. And so part of that is just understanding who you're talking to, so there might be a right decision. So keep that in mind, right? Like as we often will talk about here, is sometimes you want to build relationships with people that you have that are valuable. And if this is those people, learning how to interact with them is going to be one of the, as we said, one of the good struggles that you'll have in this life. So I'm going to talk too much if they don't hold me back. Surely someone should aggressively yell at me at this stage, but
Ah,
if they don't, I will aggressively pass it back to them.
well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you've only taken up 7 minutes of our time. I mean, you could talk for at least another 7 minutes, and then you'd be at what we normally go to. So if you want,
Oh, oh,
yeah, we
yes,
kind of
then-
we kind of overdo it sometimes here, So, do you have more you want to add? Like, I'm not gonna cut you off if you don't want.
no, 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 I'll pass it off here just to bounce it around,
Awesome.
because
Yeah, yeah.
we don't know. So yeah,
Well,
maybe
yeah.
you have a big brain thought
Let's
here.
do it. Let's just keep bouncing around. Princess, do you want to teach speech?
Princess, talk. We're gonna aggressively tell you to talk now.
Ah, don't do that.
You're up. You go for it.
No, I know I'm up, but I'm just saying you don't need to be aggressive about it.
Oh,
Okay.
We'll attempt not to be.
No, I can relate a lot to this post, because I also have, since I was young, had strong reactions to aggressive behavior. And a lot of it came down to having a sense of security in my environment. That's what I really discovered, is that, it's what triggers it. It's anxiety, right? When I get that, I get anxious because I feel that my sense of safety has been compromised by that aggressiveness. Now, certain things I perceive as more aggressive than others because of the situations I've been through. And I'm sure that there's certain things for you as well that are more triggering of your anxiety and your sense of security being broken. So, and it's hard. It's very hard to repair a sense of security. But there's kind of things that you can do to pivot yourself into a better situation. Part of it is you can't really change what other person is going to do. You're not them. You don't control them. There's nothing you can do to make them be less aggressive if in the moment they decide, hey, I'm going to be aggressive with you because I'm trying to make an impact. I'm trying to make a point, even though the impact that they actually have is much more detrimental than they really realize. But what you can do is try to pivot your environment to be a safe place as best as you can. Some of that is having different things you can do to have, like, safe zones. If it's somebody that's going to be like often a parent, then maybe you can try to be like, finding different ways to be like, okay, here is a safe place I can retreat to if I need to. If someone's going to do it, try to come up with a phrase that you can use in any situation to help you get through it. For instance, there's one phrase that I remember learning, which is, I've been on the phone and I've had a very upset parent on the other side who was very hurt. And it was like, hey, I love you, but right now I need space. We can talk about this later, but right now I need space. We need space. I'm sure maybe the other two guys might have some other great tips on different phrases you might be able to say for that. But that's one thing that can help, is preparing ahead of time for a way to react to aggressive behavior. Now, some of it is if it's aggressive behavior in the sort of more physical aspect of being intimidating, then you might want to, look at different, ways that you can add distance between you and them so that you can feel safer. Like if they're approaching you, you can back up. There's nothing wrong with that, And if it's freezing, then it can be like, hey, please give me space right now. That it can be as simple as that. And if they don't give it to you, then at that moment you can be like, okay, my next response is I'm going to back up. And this is something you can practice too. Like you can look at the mirror and you can, be right up to the mirror or up to an object or something and pretend that that is somebody intruding on your personal safety bubble. And you can practice taking a deep breath, saying that, and then backing up. And by doing that and practicing what plan you're going to do when certain things, especially if you know the types of things that trigger you, you can come up with a battle plan for when a situation occurs, how you will respond. Of course, you can't obviously account for everything by any means. There's plenty of things that could happen after that point that It's really out of your control. But a lot of times, even just having that simple statement can get people to understand and back off. Um, or if not, again, you make a plan of how do you get out of that situation. You know, some of them are people who are saying mean things to you. Well, something I recommend, which is something I'm grateful I have some really witty friends out there. They have really great lines of how to react when someone decides to say something that you don't know how to respond to. You don't do a great job of, you know, this just reminds me of there's a work situation where there was a person who was basically saying like, "Hey, don't wear the type of shirt like don't wear the shirt you're wearing because of the logo on it. It's a sports team." And I'm like, "What the heck?" And I thought, "Yo, you're joking with me. Ha 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 ha. Not funny joke, but ha 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 ha." And then they came into like, "Hey, I'm doing you a favor. Don't wear that shirt." And I'm like, "Whoa, I want out of here." But the way in the moment I acted was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll do you a favor." Which wasn't the greatest response to have, but I got out of it. But I had some others like, like, "Hey, it's no business what I'm wearing. I can wear whatever I want." You know, Go sports team. Or again, for me at least, the biggest thing that helps is knowing kind of what situations come up and knowing people who can help me make a battle plan of things I can say because I'm not good at thinking that up in the moment. And it's fair, right? Because you're having a reaction that generally hijacks your thinking. It's a fight, flight, freeze. It is a adrenaline reaction to protect you from a dangerous situation. In today's world, often what we're fighting, as a book once said, is invisible tigers. There's no real danger that's going to come out and try to eat you that you need to fight, flight, or freeze for. But you're still going to feel that sense of danger there. So,
nice.
I guess that's where I'll leave it for now and toss it back to Rye.
Yeah. Thanks, Princess, for having for saying all that. I mean, I agree with a lot of that because, I experienced a lot of going through aggressive behavior with my dad, for instance, when I was very little. In fact, it was very oppressive. I lived in a very oppressive household because anything at any moment could trigger him, and he would throw things and he would get violent. And he was drunk half of the time, so he didn't even know exactly what was going on. But he was an angry alcoholic. So that was part of the environment I grew up in. Now, don't hate my father. My father's turned out to be a lot better of a man. He's clean for the most part now. He's not that kind of person anymore, at the least. And so people change, which is great. But when you're in that environment, it can be difficult, right? So here's something that I experienced growing up. Obviously, I had that sort of trauma with my dad, and that trauma really led to how I interacted with people at school. Just in general. Even when they weren't even being aggressive, it sort of that trauma really messes with the way that you are socially. And it took me until I was like 14 to start talking to people like strangers and stuff, and learning how to converse with people on a normal way. And that was really good. I was really happy I went through that process. But I'll tell you this. After graduating high school, a couple of years after college, I didn't go all the way through college, but I did 2 years of college, and ended up doing a job where Joe used to do this job, not the Joe that's with us here, but the other Joe. He was doing this job as well. We were inspectors. We would inspect houses for mortgage companies, and what that meant was we would show up on people's property unannounced and take pictures of their houses because their houses were about to or already going foreclosure. Foreclosure means we haven't been able to pay the mortgage company our mortgage, and so now we haven't paid it in a few months, so now they're going to take our house from us. And so we would be the ones to show up to take pictures for the company that was taking their house against their will. And on top of that, when the mortgage company sent us out, to take pictures. The mortgage company charged the people who owned the house money to pay for our services. So we would go out, the mortgage company would have us take pictures of their house and then charge them like $100 or something, and then pay a bunch of different people and pay us like $3 to $5. Okay? Sounds insane, but that's literally the case. Okay. So it was a bad scenario. And you can imagine being the person on the other end of that. You know, you're frustrated. You don't have the money. The mortgage company is coming after your house and everything, you know, that you own essentially. And then they're charging you more money, and some random stranger is taking pictures of your stuff in your house. Very, very tense situation, right? A lot of not good reason, but a lot of reason to get angry and aggressive. So, okay, so that's the picture of the job. So I was doing that, and there are a number of times, right? We would go to, you know, thousands of houses, and we would do them on a monthly basis, right? Every month we would go back to the same house. And some people, you know, you just walk up and you're like, man, this is that guy. You know, this is that guy that threatened me. You know, been threatened with all sorts of different things, shotguns, etc. And you know, especially on farmlands, you know, where people are protecting their, you know, people just end up having guns on farmlands because they have to have one way or another to protect their farm. You know, at least to threaten people so that they don't steal their crops or their animals or whatever it is, right? So yeah, you'd show up on a property, they'd come out the door like raging mad at you, and what do, right? Well, luckily I've had enough experience up to this point to learn what to do, and this is what you do. When people come at you, well, this is what I did, I should say. This is what I did in those scenarios, and this is something that the other Joe would agree with. When people are coming at you like that, freeze is an okay mechanic because it helps you lead into this thing. Because if your mechanic is to fight or flight, I think it would be a lot harder to get to where I'm about to tell you. So freezing is an okay stepping stone. The first thing you do when someone is being aggressive is keep your posture calm. What do I mean? So your posture, right? Are you going to fighting stance, right? Are you going to turn your side? Are you going to, you know, what are you going to do? Posture, calm, relaxed. Shoulders down. Hands by your side. And not like really attentive, really tense, but calm and relaxed. Why? Because they can read your body they can read your body. And Joe's giving all sorts of examples on the side screen. I should have put him on. So anyways, you want to keep your body calm. Why? Because when people see you, you have a calm state. It doesn't put them on the defensive. It doesn't encourage their bad behavior. What it does, if anything, it either is neutral and it doesn't affect them, or what it does is it makes them a little bit more calmer. The second thing you do is it's okay to listen. Because what are you trying to do? You're trying to diffuse the situation. And they will teach you how to diffuse situations in the police force. And in fact, when a police officer came to me when I was doing inspections, he said, "You're like a trained, you know, officer, the way that you handle this situation. I could tell by your body posture right off the bat that you had, you know, you weren't guilty. You had no reason to, you're just calm and collected and etc." So it's okay to have that freeze mechanic, but let yourself be loose. All right, using your freeze mechanic as a stepping stone. So let yourself be loose and collected, right? Then I think it's great what Princess said, because you can come up now that you've calmed yourself and your posture, you're thinking about what can I do next. You know, you can at least take the steps that you've planned for. In my personal situation with what I was doing, the best results came from when I just sat and I listened to them attentively and agreed with them. whenever I had the ability to, and to sympathize with them because they're coming out of their homes raging mad, and I understood why. And I was like, and I would just be like, listen, you are so right. What the mortgage company is doing is wrong. I actually agree with you. I just have to do my job. And then I would listen to them, and they would complain about why they don't have the money, and I'd just be like, wow, that's awful. That's so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And they would eventually, after a couple sentences, they'd get quieter. A couple more sentences, they'd get quieter, and I would just keep on. Usually, I would just actually keep on walking up towards them, normal, casual, while they were yelling until we got face to face, but not like super face to face, like a distance, 10 feet between us. And then I would listen to them, and I would agree with and I would sympathize with their anger. I would sympathize with their anger. Why are they angry? I understand why you're angry. That makes a lot of sense, etc. Right? And eventually they would calm down after about less than 30 seconds usually. It doesn't take long, but about 30 seconds, we're having a lot cooler head of a conversation where the aggression is stopped. And then by 2 minutes, they're like, can I give you a hug? And I'm not even kidding. It's happened so many times, and Joe can confirm this as well. People will, because it's a raised emotional state, right? But you can transform that emotional state by loving on them, by understanding their struggle and sympathizing with that. And eventually you turn from their enemy to their comrade, to someone that they can, they can vent to and release all those negative emotions, at least that aggressive frustration. And you've calmed it to a point where now it's no longer aggressive frustration, it's just frustration. And then they feel like they can sort of come into your life and embrace you and be like, you've helped me. You've made me vent this out, and you're an angel. Thank you so much. Because what you're doing is you're just letting them go. You're letting them release their steam. There's nothing wrong with letting people release their steam, because by doing that, you actually can prevent violence. Right? Because if no one has the ability to release their anger in audible form, eventually it turns into physical. Right? And so by allowing them to speak it out and vent their frustration and being willing to listen and sympathize, it goes a long way into calming the scenario, letting them vent, making their day better, and making them not have a reason to be aggressive anymore, right? If you take away the reason for them to be aggressive, problem solved. Those are my tips. Those are my how I've gone through these scenarios. And I don't think I would have learned all of this if it wasn't for having to deal with that at an early age, and then in middle school, and then high school, and then just stages throughout my life of learning more and more and more, and to a point where I could start loving people and recognizing, hey, this is just a natural reaction. I can solve this by helping them solve it themselves, by being someone who they can rely on to do that.
Having empathy is very helpful, because again, what Ryan's doing is a lot of times putting himself in their shoes, like trying to understand where they're coming from, where they're at. And that can be very helpful for diffusing situations, and it can even be like, if it's your parents, like, hey, I know I'm, really been sad too. I really wanted to do better. I really want what's best for me too, just like you do. And by flipping it that way, you've flipped it into, oh, we're on the same side. It's not you trying to be versus me in some sort of confrontational way, but rather that we're on the same side of the coin together. Mm-hmm. And then it turns into, oh, well, we're trying to figure out a problem together, rather than there's a problem that is being caused by you, or being focused on, like, oh, you're a problem. Because you're not. There's a problem, perhaps, but it isn't necessarily you. And sometimes it can be pointed that way. And so trying to find a way to flip it into being, well, we're together, we're working together, we're not on opposite sides, that can really help.
Yeah, Joe. I'm gonna flip it back over to you. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I mean, no, I think it's good. I think from across our discussion here, we've got a plethora of people here, and there's a plethora of people who will be, um, you'll face aggressive action from, right? And it just depends on the type of situation you're exposed to. If you have a stranger like Ryan talks to, or this is your first time meeting them, you don't have any kind of a aggressive pushback isn't going to make much sense. You don't have any background with that person for them to kind of get that understanding from your side. And likewise, when you do have some of that background, pushing back can be good, especially if they're being aggressive on a consistent basis. I mean, when somebody comes out and talks to Ryan with a shotgun and it's the first time talking to him and he can just kind of like leave, diffusing the situation is good because then they're done. And if that's the one time they're aggressive towards him. If they follow him home with a shotgun, you may have
Different
to be
story.
more aggressive in your
Yes.
response to that. That's just kind of the nature of the interaction. So, hopefully that's not happening to you.
No.
But in terms of our conversation, well, the second one for sure. The first one, hopefully, whoever's being aggressive towards you is not armed. I mean, we're going to assume that if they do seek some professional assistance with whatever you're dealing with, because that's somewhat dangerous. But more than that, just I think what you've heard from hopefully all of us is that understand the plight of the people that you're coming in contact with. In the case of the home inspector, they are going through not a very good time. For the vast majority of people that Ryan, I'm sure, interacted with, it was not exactly the most joyful time in their life to be experiencing that. And for you, I mean, chances are when you're interacting with aggressive people, it's not the most joyful time for them. And so be a little bit of that joy for them. Be a bit of a joyful moment for them. Not that you have to roll over and take whatever they're giving you, but that you can be a calm, cool, collected person that can listen to them and provide a moment of respite from life's misery. You can be the don't worrier of the moment. And so hopefully when you come here, you're encouraged to be, as much as you are encouraged to not worry, you can be someone who encourages others to not worry. But no, other than that, I don't think I have anything else to add. I think we've talked at length about how you can deal with aggressive people. If you still need more specifics or something like that, feel free to reach back out. Send more information our way. We're happy to dive in. Again, we might not have all the answers, but the more information you give to us, the more specifics we can provide to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. And I would recommend, if you're watching this, please read through the comments. Easy has some good advice. He was in the military for some time, and knows well about dealing with people who are angry and aggressive. From not
Kel's
just that
Kitchen
experience.
also makes a good thing with the Dear Man theory of communication. I would recommend looking that up as well. From just what I've skimmed through on that, that could also be a great resource to help you to better be able to be equipped for these types of situations.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Princess. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Vanderwood. Was that what it is? No, I can't remember. Good. I got it. Thank you so much, Vanderwood, for submitting this topic. We really appreciate it, and we love you. Let us move on to the next one. Do we have one ready? Next up is Kel. Awesome. Let's do that. So, let me find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is from Kel's Kitchen, and it is titled, I love this, Am I Flirting Right? So now we go on it to, at least, hey, it's actually related because these are both, social situations. But yeah, this is a completely different theme on this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we all have in store for you on this. But here is the topic. Princess, feel free to read it whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I have a person in my class who I have a crush on. And I'm talking big time crush. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to tell them or whether they feel the same about me. We've gotten hot dogs from the hot dog stand together, and we text one another a lot, but no way they've interacted with me has given me any indication that they may have feelings for me. How do you know? Am I doing the flirting correctly? Please send help. And Kel, if you have any updates, please feel free to put them in the chat.
Yeah, fantastic. This is great. Hold on one second. I had to... There we go. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay. Technical stuff. Okay. Got it all set up. So yeah, this is great. How do I know if I'm doing the flirting right? I mean, flirting is not every person's gonna like the same kind of pie. Yeah, you might have an awkward twist to your flirtations, and that might be exactly the pie that they want, and it could be the pie that they dislike the most. So part of it is dependent upon the person, but there are some probably things that you can try, or at least learn as you go about the person. Learn what really makes them tick, and what works and what doesn't, by trying different things. But yeah, this is a great topic. I like this lighthearted feel of this one, and I'm excited to see where we take it. So, Joe, I'm gonna give it over to you. Have at it.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine if we started awkwardly attempting to flirt with you so that you knew what it was like. But no, we're not going to do that. That
Bummer.
doesn't seem like the appropriate response. One, because I'm married here, but two, it's hard to flirt virtually. And I think you've probably noticed that. If you haven't figured it out by now, text message flirtation is incredibly difficult to pull off, and it doesn't matter how long you've known the person. I've texted people things that I've been like 2 seconds later, I should clarify what I meant right there, because that could be taken in a million different ways.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that. But looking at a couple of the things that you've talked about since this video started, I do need to point out a couple of things. First, you said, quote, let's see if I can find it again. Heyo, it's been a minute talking about this topic. Something about being a player. I saw it.
Oh, that was part of D&D stuff. That's totally different context.
That's a very different context.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Yep.
Excuse me. Don't be a player.
That's
is
true.
the first step. Okay. When you are trying to flirt with someone,
that's right.
You
be
have
a
an
DM
for that relationship.
If you're trying to flirt with someone, don't you dare be a player. You got to be the DM. You got to be the dungeon master.
Another context. We're gonna pretend like Ryan didn't say that either.
Don't. I'm so sorry.
We are approaching humor levels that I didn't think were expected here. But all right, never mind. Scratch that. Also, just understand that any time that you are trying to pursue another individual, you should make certain that you aren't. I'm going to go with my own examples. I've had some friends who like to engage with people of the opposite sex while they were pursuing someone else. So they were hanging out with a bunch of female friends. This is a guy, by the way. They're hanging out with a bunch of female friends while trying to pursue a singular female. And what you find is it makes it really uncomfortable for the person that you're pursuing, because they have the question in their head of, do they like me? They're hanging out with all these other people that they could be liking. Is it me? I don't, because they're going to have the same questions. And I do want to point out, one, I have done this a grand total of basically twice. I had one girlfriend and then my wife, and that was it. So not a whole lot of experience here. It's like we don't do it, because the toughest part is once you've been like spending time together, you're like, they might like me. Then you kind of have to go for it, and you have to say, hey, you want to go out sometime, and just like lay it out there, and it doesn't get any less comfortable than that. I'm sorry. It's just like super awkward. You just drop the bomb like, hey, you want to go out on a date? We can go for ice cream. Everyone likes ice cream. unless they're lactose intolerant. But we're not even gonna get into
They
that.
still
You
like
pick,
it.
yeah,
It just doesn't like them.
true facts. But yeah, obviously, I'm going to give advice based on the situations I've seen. Obviously, the advice still transfers to however you are attempting this interaction. Okay, so I don't know if they know these things about you. Again, that gets into a whole other topic. We're going to stay away from that. Primarily because they're two different ideas. I want to construe the idea of you're trying to pursue someone separate of the idea of who it is you're trying to pursue. Okay, what their orientations or things like that are. I just want you to look at it from a perspective of, okay, assuming they know you and you're not, like, usually when you're flirting, you're trying to make it pretty obvious that you like the person. And you usually achieve it in two main ways. One, make them laugh or smile. Because I don't know about you, but I like to be around people who make me laugh and smile. And so if you want that person to be around you, you should make them laugh and smile. That seems like a pretty straightforward idea. And plus, if you didn't like spending time with somebody, probably going to be a long life spent with them. Yeah. Thank you. You've been mentioning back here in the chat that you didn't want to add that because it's not transferable. I get that, and we appreciate that, certainly. And obviously, if you want us to get into the specifics another time, totally good. But for now, what I want you to think about when you're what good flirtation is good flirtation gets someone excited about being with you. They get excited to be in your presence, and that's really weird, and it feels awkward to say because it sounds really egotistical. And part of that is why you find that people who have a very high level of ego are generally better at it, is because they feel more comfortable saying like, you should be comfortable around me, building themselves up, making themselves look good. It's okay to make yourself look good. Like, you don't always have to be self-deprecating. Like, it's okay to make yourself look good. I don't recommend being egotistical for reference here, but building yourself, making yourself look good to other people, not necessarily a bad thing. So part of flirtation is making yourself look good to other people. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're, maybe you're really good at listening. I mean, it doesn't have to be humor. I always picked humor because it was the only thing I was good at. And I wasn't very attractive, and I couldn't run very fast, so there were those problems there too. But so I picked humor, and it worked out very well for me. But part of it
So, here's how you get real close to the mic, and you say, "Hey." Sorry.
Hey.
Oh gosh, no. No.
Okay, we've done the thing. I mean, have fun with it, right? Like, in terms of the atmosphere we're presenting here as a group could be considered quote unquote flirtatious, just from we have an enjoyable time together. When I hang out with my friends, like, it's very lighthearted, it's very enjoyable, and that's kind of the mood you want to have with other people. I'm not suggesting you send ASMR voice text. Like, no, that is not what we're saying. We're saying spend time with them that's enjoyable. Spend time with other people that's enjoyable. And then when you feel like you've reached a point at which you think that there's a point of, hey, maybe they like you back, you're just going to have to drop the awkward, hey, you want to go out sometime? And it's good for two reasons. One, it kind of sets where your relationship is. And I know it can feel awkward to ask it, but I think there's something about just reaching that point that really helps you to identify in yourself and in the other person, like, what you want out of the relationship. When I was dating my wife, for example, it got to that point where I was like, okay, if I ask her the question, like, hey, you want to go out with me? If she says no, it's going to hurt and it's not going to be fun, but also it cuts off that, like, okay, we're kind of not going to be a thing. So my heart isn't attached to that anymore. And also, if it's yes, like, hey, we're proceeding to the next stage of our relationship, right? And I hope that when you're pursuing a relationship with other people, you're always attempting to deepen them, to make them go further. Obviously, your spouse, significant other, should be probably your deepest relationship. You can fight in the most. I'm not telling Ryan about my finances on a weekly basis, or how the dog is doing, or things like that. And that's good. Like, I don't need him to know those things.
I wish I knew
but
those things.
she's being fed properly. It's great.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm paying all of my bills.
You're awesome.
Except this last one I didn't pay timely, but I paid the late fee.
Too much
Anyway, but make those relationships personal. I mean, hopefully when you're pursuing someone for a long-term relationship, it's, I want to spend a very long time, perhaps life, with this person. I need to be able to be uncomfortable with them. I need to be able to expose my emotions to them, because you're going to, whether or not you mean to in that moment, eventually it'll come down the line, right? Because it turns out, no matter what you do, you are affecting the people around you, even if it doesn't feel like it. So when you're flirting correctly, you are creating a joyful experience to reach a point where you can say, this is how I feel. Do you feel the same? And setting up a relationship that is mutually beneficial. And so I hope that is your objective with flirtation. If that is not your objective with flirtation, you're not trying to build up a relationship like this, my suggestion for you, quite frankly, is just stop. And that sounds really harsh, but just stop. Like, if that isn't where you're trying to go, your flirtations, well, maybe causing feelings to be stirred up, you probably don't want them. It will be better for you in the long run. And I know that sounds harsh right now, or maybe whatever, but lay it out there. Let yourself grow from the suffering, as we've talked about on the show today. Let yourself grow through that, because it is going to be tough. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but also it's going to help you grow into the person that can have those relationships that are meaningful and life-giving and building up of the both of you. So I highly encourage you to look for that, and just be creating an atmosphere of, I like spending time with you. I hope I can make that time just as enjoyable for you as well. So that is what good flirtation is. And then it doesn't stop. These two earlier, before everyone got on, we were talking about flirting, and I said I'm not actively trying to flirt with other people anymore. But they said, hey, you flirt with your wife, hopefully. And yes, I do. And yes, as you reach that relationship with others, it's important to continue to do that, to continue to make that relationship enjoyable on both sides. I'm going to pass it back to Ryan here in a second, but I do want to respond here to this last statement. Oh, certainly. I'm not sure if I'm interested in spending the rest of my life with them. I am interested in dating them, even if it's not a long-term thing. Again, I'm going to tell you not to do that. And I'm being very direct here for a very specific reason. One, even if it doesn't hurt you, supposing the other person does want that, that's going to hurt them. All right? That's going to be very painful for them. And so I don't recommend that line of action. In fact, I'm going to expressly say don't follow that line of action. If you can't convince yourself, hey, I need to, I'm going to be kind of hurt if I don't spend my life with this person, that's probably not someone you should be pursuing. It's okay to have relationships with other people, right? Like, it's okay. I spend time with Ryan and Static, and I spend time with Princess, but I'm not actively pursuing them for anything. It's just enjoyable. We can spend that time together. We can have that relationship together. But assuming that what you're talking about with flirting is pursuing a long-term relationship. So don't do it. Okay? You should flirt. You should attempt to pursue long-term relationship with somebody you want to have a long-term relationship with. If you're not, just don't. And that sounds aggressive right after our last conversation. Don't do it. But I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be that person for you. So it's good. It's good to have that moment, because what this does is, right now you're saying I'm unsure. And that's okay, right? Like there were times with my wife I was unsure. Like, is this ever going to work out? Who knows? Maybe I don't even see them again next summer after we went on our first date. I didn't know, but I knew that was where I wanted to go with it. So it's okay to not know. It's okay to be like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm really hopeful it goes that way. But if your end objective isn't kind of in that line, I recommend that kind of hold off on the flirtation. Maybe get to know the people a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And you can still enjoy time with them. You can still enjoy hanging out. Like you can go get a hot dog with your friends. Like you don't need to have your spouse or significant other get a hot dog with you. You can go get a hot dog with anybody. Ryan could go visit somebody at a house that he's inspecting and go grab a hot dog with them. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But try and separate out the intimate relationships from the relationships that build you up that are separate. And that'll be good. So I have talked far too long here. I do want to pass it back to Ryan. He's got some great ideas. He's been here on this planet a little bit longer than me, so he's probably got some great wisdom.
Yeah, only a couple of years. But I'm not married, so I think that your advice is really sound and really good. And I don't mean to hit on this too hard, Kel. I think that your thinking for wanting to date them is totally normal. It's understandable. But I second what Joe is saying just because of this. And hear me out. If you go out on this date with this person, and you kind of date for a period of time, though you're not sure if you want to, maybe you're not sure if you want to do it long term, and that's what you're trying to find out. That's like, I totally get that line of thinking, and that's a very normal, modern line of thinking. A lot of people do that. Here's why I would say kind of don't do that. It's this reason. To understand what your intention is important. And if your intention is to pursue this person and get them roped up into your life, right? And you're both kind of committed to each other, for you to just say, you know what? In the end, I don't think I really want to be with this person for the rest of my life. Well, now you have taken this other person into your life, and then you've told them, and then you've rejected them, right? So it's kind of painful, right? It's kind of painful. And it's asking a lot of the other person just for an experiment, right? That's asking a lot of another person. When they might be thinking like, oh, this person wants to be with me. For a lot of people, that means for the rest of my life. And even if it doesn't mean that, even if you clarify right out the gate, like, by the way, this is just a test run, that also gives the implication of like, I'm just a test run. They don't even, they're not even sure about me. They just, what does it tell? What's it say about that? What's it say about you? Maybe this isn't what you're thinking, and it could be going on subconsciously or maybe not, but what's it say about you? It says that you're just seeking pleasure. You just want that feeling of being admired above all people by this one particular person. You want that feeling of a special kind of romance without that lifelong commitment attached. Without that full self-giving, right? It's almost like they want me to give my full self, but they're not willing to give me their full self, right? And that's not at all what you want. I'm not trying to push that idea into your brain as if like, hey, everybody, this is the kind of person Kel's Kitchen is. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just saying where that road leads and what it makes you look like. Okay? And it's important to digest, what is my intention here? Am I actually in all of this actually pursuing myself? Am I chasing this person because I want that feeling? Or am I chasing this person because I want to give them myself? Right? Because those are two very different things. One of those is love, and the other one is lust. Right? And you know that, Kel. You know that, for sure. There's no way you don't know that. You know that. So I'm just seconding what Joe was saying, trying to give a little bit of background to that, a little bit of more base, and try to ultimately steer you down a direction, not say that what you've done so far is wrong. What you've done so far is very normal. But what we want to do is move you away from the norm and push you towards the best life possible, right? Because I'll tell you, most people do this, what you're talking about. That's a normal thing. And it's not inherently evil, because people don't know what they're doing. But we want to just try to push you in the right direction if we can. So I would second Joe's nature, or, comments. Think about it hard. Just think about it. Okay. And here's why I want you to think about it. I don't want you to think about it so that you come to the conclusion that you go, okay, I shouldn't do this then. That's actually the opposite of what I want. I want you to think about it so that you can be convicted to go all the way or nothing. Does that make sense? If this is a human being you're talking about, with their own life, with their infinite value and importance, you either go all the way or you don't pursue them. That's my view. That's my view of it, because I look at this person and I say, I could spend my whole life giving them everything I have, and it wouldn't amount to all their worth. It wouldn't amount to the amount of time that they've given me back. There's no way to, it's impossible. But it's still better for me to give them everything I have than to say, hey, we're gonna date so I can feel good. And then when I don't feel good anymore, we're gonna part. I'll tell you that the modern society that we live in and have lived in for thousands of years, most of the time, that is the viewpoint. Let's get together so that I can feel good and that you can feel good and we can both feel good together. And then when we're not really feeling so good anymore, we'll just break it apart. That's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's like, yeah, but that's not a relationship. That's not a very good friendship. If you have a friend who's like, hey, I'm your friend, except for when I don't feel good, we're not friends anymore, and I'm going to be mean to you. When you don't say things that are nice because I disagree with you or whatever reason, we're not friends anymore for that time. But hey, you know what? Whenever we get to go out for ice cream together and you're nice to me and it's a good time, then I'm your friend. And then I'll treat you nicely back. You look at that person, you go, that's not friendship. That's just, honestly, that's just like self and fulfillment. Like what is that? Friendship is being willing to give yourself for the other person's benefit. Right? When you see when you see your friend and they're going through something tough and you have no gain from helping them, but you help them anyways, well, you've done a friendly act. You've done a good act. That takes strength. Right? And so that's the kind of relationship that we want to, that's the kind of relationship we want to promote. Okay. Anyways, again, I'm not pushing this onto you like that's the kind of person you are being. All I'm saying is modern society, and it has been this way for thousands of years, has been this way. I would try to steer you in a different direction that I believe is better. That's all. Anyways, onto the flirting subject. I mean, I see you've said a couple of things in the chat. I'll read them in a second. But onto the flirting subject. If you want to flirt with someone, I think Joe's advice is great. Make them smile, make them laugh. These are great. Honestly, flirting can even be, you know, just goofing around and being silly, right? Flirting can be a compliment, a lot of compliments in really weird, flashy ways. For example, I like if you're looking at something and one of them, like, okay, you're with someone and one of them, and sorry, you're with someone and they say, "Wow, look at that! Isn't that beautiful?" You can turn around and say, "You're beautiful," right? And that's easy. It's easy. It's so easy. But it's a flirt, and it works. Um, because it's felt, right? They feel that. And yeah, you've made it of a funny scenario, and it's kind of like, I don't know, witty to some degree, but it's solid. It works. It's a good way to flirt with people. So compliment them, make them smile, right? I think that's great. If you can identify what makes them do that, right, then I think you have a good route to flirting. But yeah, flirting can also be to right, because like a lot of times you flirt for what end? To figure out if they like you or to make them like you. One of those two things. To be more attractive. Here's the thing: if you want to be attractive to people, it's easy, but it's hard. It's simple, rather. I should say it's simple, but it can be hard. You are attractive to people based on your character. You are attractive to people based on your self-esteem. Okay? Those two things. People will find you attractive if you have good character and a high self-esteem. Why? Well, if you have a high self-esteem, you're more open about who you are, you're more personable, you're more the type to go up to someone and initiate a conversation, and it makes it easy for people to go up to you and talk to you. When you're really shy and you have a low self-esteem, how often do you go up to a stranger or even a friend and initiate the conversation? It's terrifying. You don't want to do that because you don't know what you're going to look like. You're always debating in your head what you're going to look like to that person. But if you relax that thought and you focus on them and you just walk up and you're like, hey, you are suddenly way more approachable. And that's attractive. So one of the best things you can do to be attractive to other people and to flirt with people is to be a person, even if you don't have high self-esteem yet, act like you do. And what does that mean? Just go up to people and talk to them. And here's the thing. You go up and talk to people that aren't the person you're trying to flirt with. You do that, the person you're trying to flirt with sees you do that. They think highly of you. And it tells them that you're more approachable. So they're more likely to go up to you and talk. Right? If you are a person that is easy to talk to and you also talk to other people, that is huge because it makes flirting way easier. It makes you way more attractive. And the second thing I said, character, be a person of good character. That's highly attractive. It's highly attractive. People will look at you, or it's not just, here's also what it is. It's not just attractive. It's attractive to people with good character. If another person has good character, they're going to be attracted to a person who has good character. Right? We often see like the bad breed the bad, the good breed with the good. It's like when you see someone and they have bad character and you also have bad character, you get with them, But if you have good character, you're attracted to the good character in other people because you know what it took to gain that. You recognize it for what it is and you're attracted to it because you recognize that it's good, right? So what you can do is by being a person of good character and putting that on display and not flaunting it like, hey, look, I'm a good person, but just being a good person. When people look at you, you will actually weed out the good from the bad because the good will be attracted to you and the bad will be unattracted to you. So by being a person of good character and by being at least performing as such as you have a high self-esteem. And the reason I say act like you have a high self-esteem is because if you start acting like you have a high self-esteem, chances are you'll start to grow one, right? But keep in mind that you don't want to be egotistical, right? Like Joe said. And what is the difference? The main difference is egotistical people have a main focus. Their main focal point is themselves. Whereas someone who has a high self-esteem but isn't egotistical, their focus is not centered on themselves, right? Their focus can be centered on other people in the way that they treat other people, the way they interact with other people, they listen when other people are talking, things like that. So that's the main difference. That's going to be the key point there. Try to engage that personality with yourself, because it's going to allow you to approach people better, allow you to flirt a lot more easier. When you are afraid that what you say is going to hurt you, it is so hard to flirt. Right? Isn't it? When you're afraid that the things you say might hurt you, it might cause the person to not like you. It is so hard to flirt because you just don't talk at all. Right? You don't know what to say. You're so worried about the next thing you say. What ends up coming out of your mouth is the stupidest thing ever, and it does hurt you. Or whatever it is, right? But if you just have the confidence to own up to whatever you say, whatever comes out of your mouth, even if it does hurt you or it is stupid, if you have the confidence to own it and say, yeah, I made that mistake, and you just plainly say it, you don't try to hide it, you laugh it off, you just seriously laugh it off with the person and be like, wow, that was stupid. I can't believe I said that. I'm so sorry. If you are able to do that and own it, that's attractive. And you don't have to worry about being offensive all the time. You can just be yourself. And yourself is who you want them to be attracted to. You don't want them to be attracted to the person that is you constantly afraid. You want them to be attracted to who you are when you're not afraid to talk. Because then what's going to happen, if you get in a relationship with that person, they're going to promote that side of you and make that side of you come out more. And you're going to become more and more the person that you want to be. So try to be the person you want to be. Flirt openly without fear if you're going to flirt. And that's my best advice. Kel, I'm just going to read some of these things that you said because you wrote quite a bit. I'm sure it was on the other topic that I was talking about before, because that's when you typed it when I was talking about that. But anyways, you said, let's see. There's quite a bit here. I think I need to clarify. I'm not interested in purposefully pursuing a short-term relationship. To be honest, I just put things that way for myself because I don't know what my romantic / etc. needs are yet, and I don't know how to figure out what they are. Oh, that's totally fine. I have not at all tried to do any direct flirting with them yet, other than tossing back the mild flirting that I've received, which I can not determine is actual interest in a relationship, or if it is because of the way our friendship is, which I don't mind. Oh, yep, got it, understood. Yeah, I mean, there are certain people that you just kind of have that relationship with where you throw back flirty comments, but you have no interest in that sort of thing. The problem is if one does gain interest and it's hidden, that can be trouble. He said, for instance, someone asked if we were dating, and because we always sit next to one another, we looked at one another and immediately said, yes. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're already kind of on that stage with them, you could just be honest, as Joe said. It's hard to take that step, but you can just be like, hey, why don't we go out? Like, actually, why don't we just grab a bite to eat or whatever it is, and go on a date. I think it's a bold move, but I mean, that is where your goal is. So, I mean, you can take you can take infinitesimally small baby steps to get to your goal, or you can just take the step to get to your goal. And it's a lot of energy to take infinitesimal steps. That's like, instead of just going, like, it's like, why would you dance in place trying to move forward? Just move forward. Sometimes that's what you need to do. And yeah, sometimes you need to play the dance, right? But if you're already in a friendly situation with them where you kind of are able to flirt openly, you're able to read each other in a way that it's like, yeah, you look across the table and you have the same thought. You're already on that stage. I think you're already past the flirting stage. I mean, that stage never ends, but I mean, you're past the point where that's the first step, right? I think you're past the first step, and you might as well just go forward and see where it goes. It can be heartbreaking, but also a huge relief to know that they don't want that they're not interested, because it allows you to go in there and go, okay, now I can stop wasting my time. I can stop wasting my time thinking, oh, I really want to, how do I, blah, blah, blah. You can have your answer. And then go, okay, now how do I proceed forward from here? Rather than going, do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? And just having that constant stress and anxiety of like, oh, geez, I don't know. I like them, but I don't know if they like me. And just get your answer. And I can understand that can be hard. But just pretend you're awesome, which you are. And then you can just be like, hey, why don't we go for like a bite to eat or something sometime? And just lay it out there, because that's in the end what you got to do. Don't try to beat around the bush. You could just like literally lay it out. That's the fastest way to do it, and it lets out the anxiety is going to be there, but it's going to be a lot less than trying to delay it forever and make them ask you or something. I don't know. But anyways, that's my advice. That's the way I do things. I don't think that that's necessarily the best route. That's just the way I do things. If you like someone, the way I do things is if you like someone, you tell them that you like them and you see where it goes. Very, very dry bread. But that doesn't mean I don't flirt, right? So anyways, you can do both. That's what I'm saying. And it's okay to ask. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to
add? I can go back because I do want to get at the side question that was up there, even if it wasn't asked. Just to briefly get on this idea of, to be honest, I just put things that way for myself because I don't know what my romantic, etc. needs are yet. And I don't know how to figure out what they are. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why Static and I have kind of pushed you into this realm of like commit to it, because by making that decision, like you don't have to tell them, right? Like if you decide, you know what, I want to pursue this person kind of for life, you don't have to tell them, right? Like it's not like the first time I decided, you know what, I really like that girl. I want to make her my wife. Even talking about my wife, I didn't tell her. I'm like, that person, I want to make them my wife. You don't walk up to that person and say that. That's like super weird and uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Yeah, it reminds me of old anime called Inuyasha, where this monk would go up and be like, hey, I want to have your babies. Like, dude, you don't say that. Yeah. Would you like to bear my babies? Would you like to dude, no, stop. That is not the way you introduce yourself.
Yeah. No, that's super awkward. But by you saying that in your presence of yourself, like saying it, and you can say it verbally, however you want to do it, you just reach that position of just like, I have to come to grips with that. It's like, what does that look like? You have to think about it. And the reason we're saying to do that is because it helps you to identify those things. It helps you to recognize, okay, this is what I want out of the relationship. Like by setting like a crazy end level, you help to give yourself, all right, is this where I actually see the relationship ending. Like, does that make sense? Because as awkward as it feels, there are like plenty of places relationships just end and it's okay. For instance, like let's say you're in high school, because I was in high school once, and the relationships I had with a lot of individuals ended when high school ended. Like I did not see them again. And what you have to ask yourself is that okay for this to be the end place? And if it's not, what are you going to do about it? Like that when you're engaging relationships, it should be, where do I want this to go? And then just do that thing. And it's not like you're going to say like, Joe, it's not that easy. I'm like, I know it's not, but you're going to have to consider the ideas that get you there. And if you don't have the end goal in sight, you're not really going to be able to build the steps that Ryan was talking about. Like if I'm planning to build, the pyramids, and I start by like digging a hole, maybe that's not the correct, direction for the structure. I think they do go in the ground, but that's neither here nor there. You should understand what your end goal is, so that when you're making these decisions, when you're engaging another person, you can begin to plot in your mind, okay, what do I actually want out of this relationship? And it's going to help you. It's kind of terrifying to look at in the time. I highly recommend you talk to somebody you can trust about it, which is really uncomfortable if the other person is that person. But, talk to somebody like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Here's why. If it's a parent, a close friend who you're not attempting to date, like those are people to say, here's what I'm thinking. Does that make sense? A great place to go. That's just a great way to do it. And I feel like if you watch anime, I think we reference anime here a lot. It's always felt super. It's always felt super weird to me that the childhood friend always loses out.
Yeah.
Even though that's the relationship usually that seems the most healthy. Like they have been together for the longest time. They've gotten to know each other. I highly recommend that you date out of your friend group, because chances are those are the people you've known, and it's not just I saw you and you looked pretty once type of a knowledge of people. It's a
anime tropes. Oh.
Oh yeah, you don't have any experience with those.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's kind of where we go.
I accidentally walked into the wrong bathroom. Oh no! Now let's have a dating experience. What?
Yeah.
Anime.
That's not healthy, and that's not realistic. I mean, the most realistic instance is find your friends, find the people that you've spent lots of time with, because you know them. You know, okay, these are relationships that have held me through the years, and this is the one I really don't want to let go of. Ever. Like that would be your romantic partner. Okay? Because, again, like I said, if it's the person you want to spend that long time with, either you commit to making that the long-term extension, or they're going to prevent it from being committed on your behalf. So, because eventually it's going to happen, right? Like if that's not your relationship, there are very few people that you are going to have long-term. I think that's the only thing that age benefits us in, is I have seen lots of people come and go, and the only people that haven't, I've set aside and said, I'm going to work very, very hard to make sure that this works. And it's hours, sleepless nights, but it's worth it. And you have to spend that time just thinking, okay, is that worth it to me? Because it's okay to come to the conclusion like, no. I know this seems awkward. I mean, we haven't touched on it, but it's okay to go like, you know what? They're just not worth it. They're just not worth it to me. And that's okay. That's completely okay. But you do want to sit down and have that thought process with yourself. Like, yes, don't. And this is why I said don't have that with them, because can you imagine? I want to marry you, and then you come to the conclusion that's not actually what I want after you've just said that to them. Like that gets really uncomfortable really quick, and we don't want that. So
I would do it that way.
I
don't care. I don't care. You don't doubt that. Yeah, it's because I don't care if things get awkward. I know no matter how awkward it gets, like I trust myself to be able to rekindle that friendship past the awkward moment and just be like, we're really close friends now. Like I've shared with them the most awkward scenarios, and it's great.
I think that's in spite of what you've done, not because of what you've done.
It's both. It is both.
Congratulations on your engagement. Good work, Cry.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I just tend to be open about stuff, but that's my own flavor of tortilla that I am. That's right. I called myself a tortilla. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this topic, Cal.
thank you.
Is everyone satisfied? Hopefully that was a satisfactory answer from us. I hope I didn't cut you off, Joe. Did I cut you off? Was it the end?
No, just keep laughing, smiling. Hopefully, again, we're kind of flirting with you in not a non-flirtatious way.
Yeah.
But yeah, take it away.
Yeah, that's what your opening line should be when you encounter them. Hey, excuse me, I just want to flirt with you in a non-flirtatious way. Sorry? Okay. Anyways, so yeah, thank you so much for this great topic. It's been fun, and we're happy that you were open to share this with us. And if you're not sure where you want to take the relationship, I completely agree with Joe. This is another human being that you're talking about, as well as yourself, and kind of where you want to take your life. It's important to figure those things out in your head the best you can before proceeding. And there's certain things that you can't learn until you experience them, and I get that. But you want to do as much of the hard work first that you can, and the hard work is figuring it out in your head what you actually want, what drives you in that direction, and so on and so forth. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's
Thanks a lot.
August, you're here, right? I think August is here. August, just want to make sure that you're still with us. I think we want to do your topic next, if that's cool.
Yes, let us do the thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
hard. I was
Awesome.
much better.
Awesome.
Yay, August.
Cool. So we've got a topic for you guys, and it is from August. It is titled Wholesome or Childish. Very interesting. Wholesome or childish? I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on the screen for you, and we can go ahead and read it whenever you're ready there, Princess.
Hello, this is my first time on Don't Worry Wednesday. I was hoping to get help on strengthening my mindset to stand by my likes and interests. I've always felt judged for liking the more happy, upbeat, and adorable things in life. For example, music and shows. These things that make me feel elated, but what others view as more childish and unprofessional. It's really impaired my ability to share my interests without feeling insecure and to express myself creatively. And even those around me that have learned to accept it, Even those around me that have learned to accept that it defines me still see me in a childish light, as if I have yet to grow up. From August.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can relate to this for sure. As a guy, I am really into cute things. I like things that are cute, fluffy, etc. I still love blankets and stuffed animals, just anything that's cute. And here's the thing. I've said it so many times. Guys in general like cute things. The idea that guys don't like cute things is a lie, because otherwise they wouldn't date women that are cute and call them cute. Most guys do that. Most guys like cute things. They just want to appear manly and say, oh, that's a... But I'll tell you, like, some of the greatest men I know, like my stepdad, my mom's husband, amazing man. One of the most kindest men ever. And you would never look at him like as if he's like childish or whatever. But he really likes stuffed animals too. He likes to take the stuffed animals and play with them around in the bed a little bit. And he's like older. And does that make him weird? No. It's just what he likes. There's nothing weird about that. In fact, I find it rather more of an attractive trait, because here's a man that's like incredible with finances. He's run a business. He's like, he owns several. He's a co-owner of like several Taco Bells, like, and lots of other franchises. Right? He's well off, right? And one of the things is he likes stuffed animals, and he'll like perch them up and talk with them to little kids and go like, "Hi, my name is blah 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 blah," and whatever, right? And have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing, right? And it also helps him to express and have fun with children, right? Because having that mind of a child in that format works really well to connect with children and be a good parent or a good role model or anyone to interact with, really anyone of any age, because we were all children once. So anyways, that's how I'm going to start this. Just want to talk on those type of that topic real quick, and give Joe some time to think about this, but I'm sure he's had plenty of enough time. So I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. Anyways, awesome. I'm going to give it over to you, Joe, and yeah, I'm excited to see what you got to say.
All right, thanks, Ray. Yeah, as you say here, I love plushies. I've got 3 big ones, 2 tiny ones, and I've been called out for my corgi plushie a few times. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of things here to kind of unpack, and it's this idea that accept that there's a level of people are seeing you for who you are, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they're also attaching like other things to that idea. And part of our relationships with other people is just helping them to see multiple sides of you, right? For instance, I teach. I'm a teacher. And so there are multiple facets of my life that maybe students don't know about. And so depending on when you might see someone, especially if you ever had a teacher that you've seen like outside of the classroom and they went, whoa, who are you?
Yeah. Real person. They buy lettuce at the grocery store? What? Wait, lettuce at our house.
Right? That's crazy. People get food, but seeing people from another light does this thing that kind of opens your eyes to the fact that, okay, I have created an image of them in my mind that isn't necessarily true. All right. Now, part of your image is that, right? Like, maybe you don't want to, but part of having these things is being seen as somebody that likes cute things. Like, if you like cute things, people will see you as somebody who likes cute things. And so they're going to perceive you as somebody who likes cute things. And while that is good on some level, they've attached this extra thing onto it, that you are childish. Okay, which I'm assuming means they treat you like you can't make your own decisions and things of that nature. Right? Because that's usually what we mean. When we talk about somebody acting like a child, we mean like you aren't very able to make your own decisions well. So they're attaching that to this idea of you like cute things. And so sometimes it just is an order of like, do your taxes with cute animals, and it's going to be pretty apparent that you're a professional and all, whatever. Attach something that's not necessarily childish to what they're perceiving as childish. So that's part of it. The other thing is getting used to the fact that like it's okay. Like they can think that about you, but that's not really that big of a deal, right? Like I tell all of my students, I don't care what you think about me. Like, it sounds bad, but like I'm not here to get your opinion on me. I'm here to teach you these things, and that's it, right? And when you're engaging with other people, when you've got your cute things, your objective might not be like you might not have even an objective at all. Like, I'm not here for you to like think I'm childish or professional. I'm just gonna be me, and that's okay. That's a good thing. So part of what I'm trying to do is separate out 2 ideas for you. One is okay for people to see you how you are, and you can help them to separate out the ideas in their head. Also, it is not your responsibility to make other people feel happy about who you are or not. You don't get to choose that for them. You never will. I'm sorry. It's just kind of the way that it works. And you wouldn't want it to either, right? Like, you wouldn't want somebody to come up to you and like, hey, I'm aggressive, dang it. You need to think of me as aggressive. This is called a callback in the comedy scene, but you know, you don't have to. If people came back and made you, you know, were trying to make you understand things about them all the time, it would feel uncomfortable. The reason that we attach certain ideas is so that it's easier to understand. Like, okay, this person is younger, likes cute things, whatever. Like, it's easier for us to quantify that in our head, so that when we come up and talk to them, that's how we would interact. Right? Like, if you came up and talked to me, you know, again, I'm going to use the teacher example because it's the most common one that I have for this type of reference, is kids walk to me, hey, yo, teach, what's up? Wasabi, or, you know, whatever. Okay, that's not the appropriate response to somebody who's your teacher. You've usually, hopefully, when you've been to school is, all right, I give to the teacher this certain amount of respect because of their position or whatever. You had that image in your mind, and so that's okay. Like, it gives you that opportunity so you don't stick your foot in your mouth and say something silly where your teacher like gets you in trouble. Okay, that is part of our mental our mental categorization, and it's just to help you. So understanding that that's what some people are doing can help you feel not as judged. Like, they're just categorizing you so that when they interact with you, they can take hopefully a good tenor with you that's hopefully helpful. Mm-hmm. So it's not always that way. So that's the one side. Like, okay, accept that they're maybe not always trying to make you feel like you're childish or whatever. And then the other side is just be happy with being yourself. Like just be okay with saying, hey, look, I'm here, I do these things, I love these things, it's cool. Okay, so for instance, like, I really like to play video games, and my wife does not play video games at all. And so she's like, yeah, that's fine, just be that. Like, I'm glad that you love that. She's really been helping me to see it's okay to really enjoy those things that I enjoy, and it's okay to like, I like to golf. Like, yeah, I don't know anything about that, and it sounds boring as all get out, but tell me about it. Okay? You know, just be excited, and then talk about it excitedly. I watched a really interesting series. It's super niche. We're going to talk about anime again really quick. It's called Chihaya Furu, and it's about a really niche Japanese card game, memorization card game. And it's it. Okay, and my thought process here is only revolving around one character, and it's Dr. Harada. You don't need to know anything about the series. You just know that this character is like the old mentor. And if you know anything about writing adventure, you know that the old mentor serves one purpose. It is to teach the younger generation and then die. Pretty much it. Like, that sounds harsh, but adventure writing number 101. Old teacher, he's got to pass on so the younger generation can kind of take it on. Mm-hmm. It sounds bad. Well, in this series, he doesn't. In this series, part of that character is saying, hey, look, here is an individual who is older, who has been doing this, and it's like it's a card game. Like, it's kids. Like, kids are doing this, but also, like, they have a passion for this game. They have a love for this thing. Okay, and part of the idea here, I'm going to type it in the chat because it's really hard for me to say, but it's Chihaya Furu. Part of this whole idea is the teacher has a love for the game, and in order to pass that on to other people, you need to be able to show it, right? Like, if I want people to get excited about things I'm excited about, if I go, man, I really like this thing, and like really smooth, non-energetic, people are just going to follow that. They're like, okay, he's chill about this. But if I go, bro, have you heard about this thing? It's really exciting. We have like the new improved, like super cool, awesome thing. You're like, I don't know anything about what you're talking about, but it does sound pretty cool because you're kind of energized about it. Things like that. For that is how you get people involved and go, okay, they're just passionate about this thing, and I can get on board with that. It's something I took with me that I didn't for a while until it was a little bit late. Is the I coach golf, man. I'm giving you a whole life story here. I coach golf, and there's a method to my madness here. I coach golf, and at the beginning of my coaching, I had said, "All right, I just want you to enjoy the game on your own." Like I wanted them to have a passion for the game in and of themselves. And then I remembered I didn't develop an energy from the game just because I like, oh yeah, that was the thing, I'm good to go, right? Like I saw other people be excited about it. I was with a team that really enjoyed playing golf, like, and we fed off one another, and it really built this enjoyment for what I had. And so I said, you know what? I'm actually going to go to practice and be excited about golf. And lo and behold, people are more excited about golf when you do that. And so when you are experiencing your joys and when you are dealing with the things that matter to you, whether or not they feel childish or unprofessional, I want you to be excited about them. I want you to, like, you know what? Maybe this does make me look childish or unprofessional, but dang it, I like this thing. And I'm going to enjoy this thing. Because you don't know necessarily where that is going to take you. And for perspective at school, again, by letting the students know, because I make references a lot during my lessons to things, so that I can see, all right, which kids are enjoying other facets outside the classroom. If I reference anime, that's not a thing that gets referenced in school very much. And so I can build relationships with students based on that idea. And my superintendent and my principal have come to me and they're like, man, you build great relationships with these students. I have no idea what you're doing, but just keep going with it. Like, you know what? Like, there's going to be a level where you have people who just don't understand what you're doing or what your joys are or what your passions are for. And they're just going to be like, it works for them. And you know what? That works for me. And so I want you to kind of have that kind of perspective on you. And so I've talked way too much, way more than I probably should have. I'll pass it over to Ryan. He's passionate about some great things, and so he can probably enlighten you some more.
Yeah, Joe, I just want to say you did phenomenal. I mean, absolutely. So true with all of that. I would say that childish isn't a matter of what you like. It's more of a matter of, I would say, your how you deal with things. Where your mindset is at. You can be passionate about all sorts of different stuff. In fact, I mean, in one sense, I mean, I don't know if you're religious at all. It doesn't matter if you are, August. But in the Bible, they say, you know, have a childish joy about you, where you can experience all these things and have passionate desires for them and be like, wow, this is so cool. Wow, this is such a wonderful thing. Oh, I want to learn more about this. And it's okay to have that childish view. But that's a view that is that we as a society and well, as a society we should at least value. We should value that sort of passion that children tend to have, that sort of wonder, that nature of joy that is within them, and it's just foundational. And we should not get off into the weeds where we're like, oh, we're adults now, we don't have joy. We're adults now. We don't get that wonder mentality about things. No, that's someone who's been beat up so much they've given up, right? That's someone who's given up on themselves and in the world, because, I mean, that person is not having a good time, right? And they kind of want to just bring you down with them. So if people call you childish, then you can celebrate that and recognize, oh, that means it's a good thing, because, I mean, the Bible talks about that as a good thing, and society talks about it as a good thing. When you're 92, people go, oh, I'm 92, but I'm still a child at heart. What does that mean? They still find the joys in life. They still like to have fun and enjoy things, right? There's still a joyful spirit. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So if people are like, oh, that's childish, honestly, you should just have a different view about it and say, thank you. Thank you. Because I want to keep that. I want to keep that good nature about me. I want to keep that into my adult life. I want to keep being as joyful and passionate and full of wonder and curiosity as a child is. On the other side, we have childish used in a negative connotation where it should be negative. And that is, like, for instance, too much indulging of self, right? When you're a child and a toy gets taken away from you, what do? You cry about it, you whine, you get angry, you flop on the floor, you do whatever, you throw a temper tantrum, right? If you have to, right? And that is a negative trait of being childish, right? So ask yourself honestly, when people say, oh, that's childish, ask yourself, are you the kind of person that throws tantrums? Are you the kind of person that cries when you don't get your way? Is that who you are? Are you the kind of person that cries when you don't get your way? Because that's childish, if you do. Why is it called childish? Because they haven't matured enough to recognize that suffering happens and it's okay. And that everything doesn't go our way. And that's still okay, right? We don't always get what we want. But we get what we need, They haven't matured enough. So that's a form of childishness, right? And that's okay. Joe knows I just quoted a song, probably. You don't always get what you want. Anyways, but you can try sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna stop. You get what you... Okay, anyways. So, trying to stop myself like 4 times. So anyways, if you recognize, okay, that's not what they're talking about when they say that I'm childish. So therefore, they actually mean something good about me. Sure, they're trying to say maybe they're trying to throw it as if it's a negative thing, but people can throw negative things about things that are positive all day long. It doesn't mean that they're actually negative. Like anything. Oh, you like tractors? What's wrong with that? It's like, how about saying that sentence a little bit differently? You like tractors? That's better. Thanks. Like, people can try to make fun of anything. It doesn't make that thing a bad thing. They're just being belligerent, right? They're just being negative. And that's not good. So I would say have some confidence. Have some confidence. And rearrange the way. Sorry, have some confidence and solidarity in what it means to be childish. If they think, or if you get the impression that they think you're childish, recognize that, again, reform your perception of that word and recognize, oh, that's a good trait. Being childish in this kind of a way is considered a great trait. Because it is honestly one that fuels a lot of other good traits, right? It's good to be that form of childish. It's good to have a child heart, a heart of a child, right? Children generally know better, which is terrible to say this, but in our society and in societies past, children tend to have a better understanding and relationship with their what's the word? What's the word? Conscience? That's not the right word. With knowing whether something's right or wrong. Right? I can't think of the word for some reason. But they have a better relationship with knowing whether something's right or wrong. You go up to a child and you do something, right? They call it out right on the spot. They're like, oh, that's not good. You shouldn't do that, right? As an adult, as a teenager, you go through this phase where you start questioning everything that society's ever taught you, and you start to come up with your own ideas of what's right and wrong, and you say everything morals. Thank you. Yeah, children tend to have a stronger relationship with morals. Not all of them, but they tend to. Why? Because their parents taught them. And their parents probably have a good understanding of what's right and wrong, and they try to influence their children in that area, right? But also, there's an innate form of morality, and it's called natural law, which we all possess. And we either fight natural law or go with it. What is natural law? Natural law is understanding morals by what's displayed in nature. By what's displayed in front of you, what you encounter in your life, you're able to digest it and recognize this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. Very natural, and it's called natural law, right? And children have a really good fundamental way of understanding natural law. It comes very easy and naturally to them. But as you grow up, a lot of people, they start to fight that off because they've made mistakes. They've done things they weren't supposed to. They've too many times they have done the wrong things. And in order to, and it's hard because in your brain, you want to fight that off. You want to be like, no, I wasn't wrong. I can't be wrong. It upsets me that I could do something wrong. So therefore it must not have been wrong. Right? A lot of people do that. That's what a lot of people do. And it's not good. It's not good. It's not healthy, right? And so this is another trait of being childish, which is good and healthy. So recognize there's nothing wrong with being considered childish if you have a good understanding of what the beauty of that is. So I would say you have interests, right, that are happy, upbeat, and adorable, is what you said. Fantastic. Me too. You know what I say about all of those things? Those are good things. Those are fundamentally good things. To be happy, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not evil. It's a very, very good thing. Upbeat. Good thing. Right? Adorable. The idea that one can adore another thing says a lot about our heart. Right? And generally, all humans tend to possess the ability to adore. But it also shows how strong our hearts are that we can actually come to adore something other than ourselves. That we can have adoration. Right? Adoration comes from the word adore, which is adorable. So something deserving of adoration is what we call adorable. And believe it or not, it's super weird because in religion, in Christian religion, we perform something called adoration. We adore our God, right? And usually when you think, well, isn't adorable reserved for cute things? Well, one, can't God be cute? I mean, if God created all things, he created cuteness, so that's fine. But also, generally when we see something cute, it's like usually something that's vulnerable, easy, soft and malleable, whatever, right? Something small, generally, a trait that is innocent, right? And those are all beautiful things, and we can equate those to God as well. But this isn't a religious talk, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there. To have the ability to adore. Some people lose that ability. Some people lose the ability of adoration because they get so caught up in themselves. They get caught up in the world around them. They get caught up in a mentality that it just doesn't allow for such room where they can truly sit and recognize something as absolutely adorable and vulnerable and just wonderful, and then embrace it and treat it with respect and treat it with, adoration, right? And so some people aren't capable of that. That's a beautiful thing. Foster it, right? So if you have things that you find adorable, fantastic. So basically my point is I aim to uplift you and all the things that you said. Those are very good things. And some people might consider them childish just because they're not dank and dark and angsty. And I'm not going to say that people who like angsty stuff are outright bad either. We all like what we like, but there's certainly nothing wrong. And in fact, there's a lot good with the things that you said and that you like. So I say all the more power to you. Keep liking those things. And I'll tell you what, the people who have the most influence on the world tend to be the people who interact with children. Because that's the future of the world, our children, right? And so if you're someone who likes those type of things and you create those type of things for people, right? Let's say you really like happy, upbeat, adorable things and you create movies or books or whatever it is that are happy, upbeat, and adorable for kids. Well, you've helped them. You've trained them and you've given them joy to be good people, right? And so as an influencer, I'd say that's a great thing. But anyways, I hope that's all right. Princess, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
Just one last thing is that being childish does not have to be like being unprofessional. Now, of course, that really depends on, relations, but you can have a childlike excitedness about you, but still be very professional in how you act and how you treat others and have that respect. Childish is not necessarily immaturity, though a lot of times that's the connotation it has. But that doesn't mean that that's what people are seeing you as. Again, there's many aspects of being a child, right? So, that's all I would kind of want to input there, is that those aren't the same. Because I am a child at heart. I take on that from my dad. And I take it on for myself. But, like my dad, I am a child at heart. But that does not mean that I'm unprofessional. Many people can often find me professional, especially because I write all of my sentences and I try to have proper punctuation and spelling and grammar. And not that I'm perfect, but, I try to put that in there. And that alone makes people think, oh, you're really professional, So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
No, I think we got, hopefully, I guess we haven't seen anything in the chat for a while, but hopefully that means that Ryan was saying all of the right things and you now feel enlightened and aren't worrying about anything.
You better put that on me.
Surely.
No, I didn't do anything. I didn't say a single word.
Oh. Well,
yeah,
no, other than that.
Imagined all that.
Oh, well, good. My imaginations are great then.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
I like my imagination.
I like it too. What?
What?
Doesn't that mean I like whatever? I'm fine with that.
Good.
Good.
Wow, no wonder there was nothing said for the last while. That's why everyone was out there doing it. But hopefully that helps the August. Obviously, we're glad that you like cute things, and hopefully you continue to like those things, and just be that person for the world around you. So, Nope, I don't have anything else.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the wonderful stream. Thank you, Joe, for coming here and being with us.
Yeah, Joe, you made it. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe Anderson. You also, as well, for showing up on time perfectly, precisely when you were supposed to.
A wizard.
A wizard, exactly. Thanks, Princess. You as well. You're awesome. Thank you for helping out and for helping us pick the topics. And thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you for participating and for sharing your wisdom and your fun with us. We love you guys. Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Nothing
we did
else
a show.
you need
Good
to say
job,
there.
guys.
Yeah.
We did it. Yay. All
Yay.
right. Yeah, there we go. There's another clap. Princess did not clap. She was dissatisfied. I'm lying. Her face did so many different things. I'm sorry. It's beautiful. Anyways, I love you guys. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And yeah, see you next Wednesday.
Don't worry.
Or I'll smack you. But don't worry about me smacking you either, because that's not true. I won't ever do that to you. No.
You can't reach that far.
That's accurate. My hands are short. Anyway, bye-bye.